3 days before your wedding, the person you once loved, the one who shattered your heart and vanished without goodbye, walks back into your life. He says he never stopped looking for you, never stopped loving you. But at the altar waits someone who's never left your side, who's built his love on patience and trust. Now you're standing between the fire that once burned you and the calm that's been saving you. One choice could rewrite your future forever. If you were Emma, standing on that cliff, who would you choose? This is the story of Emma, and before we begin, comment, like and share, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this. Emma steps from the shuttle and tells her lungs to behave. David squeezes her fingers, anchoring her in the moment. "You okay?" he asks, the warmth in his voice wrapping around her like a soft blanket. "I'm great," she says, and wants to believe it. It's finally happening. Behind them, family tumbles out in laughter and chatter. Her mother is already dictating seating arrangements to the innkeeper. David's father offers to carry anything with a handle. The lobby smells of lemon oil and Tide. A small fire hums even though it's barely cold enough for one. The desk clerk hands them 2 keycards in a cream envelope stamped with an anchor. "Welcome to the Windward," he says. "Room 12, Harbor View." David kisses her temple. 3 days, he whispers. The words hum like a promise she's supposed to feel. Their room is plain beautiful. White duvet, blue ticking pillows, brass lamps that cast round, patient pools of light. Outside, a red boy blinks steadily, keeping time with her pulse. Emma stares out the window and tells herself that this, calm, simple, predictable, is what happiness looks like. Her therapist had warned her this might happen. Your body remembers chaos, even when your life no longer does. Sometimes peace feels like something you have to survive. David heads to meet his mom about dinner. "Nap," he orders with a grin. "Cake tasting at 4. "Bossy," she teases, but it lands like affection. Alone, she opens her suitcase. Linen dresses, her good sweater, the silk robe her friends insisted on. Then, a photograph slips free, landing face down on the rug. She frowns. She didn't pack any photos. When she picks it up, the edges are warm from the sunbeam. On the back, faint blue smudges, like sea and sky blurred together. She turns it over, and the air changes. 2 people laughing on a terrace, her hair longer, her smile unguarded, a city of tile roofs spilling behind them. The man beside her is half grin, half shadow, familiar in the way dreams are, soft around the edges but sharp at the center. Her heart folds in on itself. Mateo. She slides the photo beneath a pile of shirts, too fast, as if someone might see. A faint smell, oranges, cigarettes, sunlight, goes through the room. For a second, she swears she hears a distant guitar. She shuts the suitcase, sealing the memory away. At the desk, her wedding checklist waits, all neat boxes and optimism. Seating chart, done. Flowers, confirmed. Vows, still blank in the middle. She writes one small reminder, remember why. The words look steadier on paper than they feel inside her. Her phone buzzes. A text from Sienna, "Got in. This place is so coastal cult chic. Drinks at 5? Then another, "Your mom already hugged the bartender." Emma laughs. It sounds like herself again. She sends back a wave of emojis and decides to walk the harbor before the fog rolls in. Outside, the world feels suspended between seasons, late summer holding hands with early fall. The dock creaks under her steps, ropes hum softly against wooden posts. The ocean murmurs like it knows secrets she hasn't told anyone. For a moment, she feels calm, as if the past really has stayed where it belongs. At 4, they taste cake. Lemon curd wins. David grins, frosting on his lip, and she wipes it with her thumb. Simple, ordinary happiness, the kind you can build a life around. By 5, the bar is warm with friends and laughter. Her father makes a toast about calm seas and second chances. David passes her a glass of water without her asking. The gesture lands quietly but deep. It feels like the kind of love that stays. Back in the room before dinner, she unfolds her vows. "I will show up. I will be kind. I will choose us on ordinary days." The words look right, but something underneath them trembles. Love as a steady practice, she believes it. Mostly. A knock startles her. She opens the door. The hallway is empty, except for a small envelope on the floor, unmarked. Heavy paper, thick and serious. "Hello?" she calls. Nothing. She closes the door, slides a finger under the flap, and pulls out a photograph. Her heart stops. It's the same picture from her suitcase, only sharper, brighter, like someone cleaned it with memory. On the back, in familiar looping handwriting, are 2 words. Te recuerdo. Her pulse stumbles. She hasn't seen that handwriting in 5 years. Her phone lights up. "David, 10 minutes? Mom wants to confirm flowers." She types back, "On my way," but doesn't send it. She stares at the photo, then slides it into the envelope and tucks it in her bag beside her vows. Her hands shake as she smooths her hair. In the mirror, she looks like a bride. Her reflection doesn't tremble, but her reflection also doesn't feel the floor tilting. Another buzz. "Sienna again, you coming? I need to tell you something before your mom does." Emma grabs her wrap, bag, and key. She opens the door, steps into the quiet hall, and stops. Near the stairwell, another envelope waits, sealed with a thin strip of blue tape, the same color as that Barcelona sky. Her breath catches. She looks around, empty corridor, muffled sounds from distant rooms. She kneels, picks it up, opens it. A faint scent of smoke and oranges rises. Inside, a card. Her name written carefully at the top. Below it, one line in that same looping hand. "I'm here." The words hum in the air between her and everything she thought was settled. Her phone buzzes again. "David, flowers?" The screen glows steady in her shaking hand. Emma closes her eyes, breathes, in, out, and when she opens them, the card is still there. Real. Waiting. Like a heartbeat she'd forgotten she still had. Outside, the boy blinks red over dark water. Somewhere below, laughter drifts up from the bar, warm, ordinary, safe. She slips the card into her bag beside her vows and whispers to herself, as if to steady the ground beneath her feet. 3 days. 3 days to choose again. And from the lobby below, a voice carries faintly up the stairs. "Miss Chen? A message just came for you." She freezes. The clerk's silhouette waits at the bottom, holding yet another envelope, this one heavier, sealed in blue. Her name scrawled across it. Underneath, 2 words that tilt the world on its hinge. "Before dinner." The seaside restaurant glows in the kind of golden light that makes everything look like a postcard. Candles flicker in glass jars, the waves outside whisper applause. Everyone is laughing, the kind of laughter that photographs well. Emma sits at the center of it all, a vision in cream, her fingers laced around a champagne flute she's barely touched. David's hand rests on her knee beneath the table, steady, warm, familiar. She smiles at him, smiles at everyone, smiles until her cheeks ache. Jess, her maid of honor, leans close and murmurs, "You good? You seem somewhere else." Emma laughs, a little too quickly. "Just tired. It's been a long day." Jess's eyes linger, searching. "You're sure this is what you want? You've looked distant lately." "Not bad, just happy," Emma interrupts, too brightly. "I'm happy." Jess nods, but the silence between them holds a quiet doubt. The waiter pours more champagne. Someone makes a joke about David's first attempt at cooking seafood. The room fills with warmth and salt and comfort. Yet beneath it, Emma feels a pulse, faint but insistent, like a drumbeat under music. David rises to toast. "To my future wife," he says. "The calm in every storm I've ever known." Applause. Laughter. Emma raises her glass, smiling on cue. And then, a shift. A door opens near the entrance. Cold air seeps in. For a moment, she doesn't look. She's mid-laugh, mid-glance at David. But then she feels it, a presence. A stillness that cuts through the hum of voices. She turns. And the world narrows. A man stands framed in the doorway, the light behind him soft and golden, turning the edges of his hair to fire. The years fall away with terrifying ease. Mateo. For a heartbeat, she forgets to breathe. The champagne glass trembles in her fingers, then slips, shattering against the floor in a clean, bright sound that silences the room. Everyone turns. David reaches for her hand. Hey! But she can't hear him. The ocean roars behind her ribs. Mateo doesn't move. He just watches her, eyes steady, expression unreadable. His gaze is the same, that quiet intensity that once made her feel seen in a way that scared her. Emma? David says again, concern threading his voice. She forces a smile. It just slipped, she manages, crouching to pick up the shards, though her hands are shaking. Jess bends to help her, whispering, "Who is that?" Emma doesn't answer. When she looks up again, Mateo is still there, still watching, until a waiter gently steps between them, asking if he's with the party. Mateo shakes his head once, slow. Then he smiles, small, sad, and turns away. But Emma sees the envelope in his hand. The same cream color. The same blue seal. Her pulse spikes. He leaves it with the host, glances back one last time, and disappears into the fog outside. The door closes, but the air doesn't move. Emma stands slowly, every eye on her, and murmurs, "Excuse me for a second." She walks toward the door, heart hammering, as the host calls after her. "Miss?" He said it was urgent. Said you'd understand. The host holds out the envelope. Her name written in that same looping script. She takes it, fingers trembling, the sound of her own heartbeat louder than the sea. The wax seal glistens under the lantern light. She hesitates, and from outside, just beyond the window, a shadow moves across the fog, waiting. She tears the seal open. And what's written inside makes her breath catch before the page even fully unfolds. Barcelona smelled like oranges and possibility. Emma had arrived with a backpack, a summer job at a gallery, and the fierce hope that she might finally outrun herself. The city greeted her with warm air and slow, honeyed nights that made promises she wasn't sure she wanted to believe. She met Mateo on a rooftop above the Gothic Quarter, music drifting from a borrowed speaker, the hum of scooters below. He was laughing when she first saw him, head thrown back, eyes catching the string lights like fire. Someone handed her a drink, someone introduced them, and then it was just the two of them, the air between them thick with something neither of them tried to name. He asked her what brought her to Spain. "Trying to forget," she said. He smiled. "Then we'll remember together." From that night on, the city seemed to move around them, narrow alleys, sun-washed mornings, cheap wine on rooftops. He taught her Spanish phrases not in textbooks. "Te echo de menos, unforgettable, quedate you en poco más." Stay a little longer. She did. They painted sunsets on napkins, took photos that never needed captions, and kissed in doorways while church bells sang above them. Everything felt cinematic, but not in the glossy way, more like an old film reel that might catch fire from the heat of being too alive. Still, even then, there were shadows she pretended not to see. Sometimes his eyes would drift somewhere far away. Sometimes he'd go silent mid-laugh, as if remembering something he couldn't share. But he always came back, and when he did, she believed that was enough. One night, they watched fireworks from Montjuic Hill. The sky cracked open in color, and he whispered, "If we ever get lost, meet me at the terrace by the sea. Promise." She promised. The next morning, she woke to an empty bed, his guitar leaning against the wall like a ghost left behind. Her phone buzzed, a single message. "Emergency. I have to go home. I'll call you." He didn't. She called, and it rang until it didn't. She wrote emails that came back undelivered. Weeks passed, and the city dulled, the light bleeding out of it. The terrace by the sea stayed empty, the promise unanswered. She left Barcelona with her heart half-packed, telling herself it was just timing, that one day he'd explain. But as the years passed, the memory of him became a wound she learned to walk around. Now, in Maine, holding that letter with his handwriting, the same looping script from a life she buried, it all came rushing back. The smell of citrus, the rooftops, the sound of his laugh carried on the wind. The paper trembled in her hand as she unfolded it. Only one line waited inside, written in Spanish, ink pressed deep as if he'd needed her to feel it. I kept the promise. I'm here. Her pulse stuttered. The room swayed. Because suddenly, it wasn't just the past haunting her, it was standing outside in the cold Maine fog, waiting for her to open the door. The night air is sharp, tasting of sea salt and panic. Emma pushes through the restaurant doors, her pulse thrumming like the ocean below. The wind lifts her hair as if the world itself is holding its breath. He's there, standing at the edge of the patio, framed by the lantern light. Mateo. Older. Leaner. But those eyes, still the same deep, steady pull that once undid her. Emma, he says softly. Just her name, and it's enough to undo 5 years of walls. She exhales, every emotion crashing at once. You shouldn't be here. I had to be, he says. You never answered. You disappeared. I disappeared? Her voice sharpens. You left without a word. You vanished. He steps closer, rain-scented and desperate. My father had a stroke. I flew to Argentina that night. I wrote. I called. Everything bounced back. You'd moved, changed numbers, changed everything. I thought, he stops, voice cracking. I thought you didn't want to be found. Her heart twists. You could have tried harder. I did, he says, pain flaring in his voice. I looked for years. I only found you because a mutual friend posted your engagement online. And I came because I couldn't let you marry him without you knowing the truth. Emma folds her arms, trying to steady herself. The truth doesn't change anything. I moved on. I built a life. He nods slowly, eyes flicking toward the ocean. I can see that. He's a good man. She hesitates, then nods. He is. Do you love him? Mateo's voice trembles just enough to betray how much he needs the answer. Emma looks away, toward the glowing restaurant windows where laughter and warmth spill into the dark. Yes, she says. I do. Silence stretches. The only sound is the sea slapping against the rocks. Mateo swallows hard. Then I'll leave you to your life. I just needed you to know I didn't walk away. I lost you. Her throat burns. You found me too late. He gives a faint smile, sad and beautiful. Story of my life. The door creaks open behind them. David steps out, coat draped over his arm, concern etched on his face. Hey, there you are. Everything okay? Emma freezes. The world shrinks to the space between the two men. David's confusion. Mateo's heartbreak. Her silence. David looks from her to Mateo. Do I know you? Mateo extends a hand. Mateo. An old friend. David shakes it slowly. You picked a strange time to drop by. I know, Mateo says, eyes on Emma. But some things can't wait. The wind rises, tugging at the napkins left on tables, scattering salt and petals into the dark. I'll go, Mateo says. But we need to talk. Alone. Tomorrow, by the pier. Emma doesn't answer. She can't. She just watches as he walks into the fog, his figure swallowed by the night. David touches her shoulder. Who was that? She stares after Mateo, the envelope still clutched in her hand. A ghost, she whispers. One that doesn't want to stay buried. And from down the street, faintly carried by the wind, comes the strum of a familiar guitar. The night feels endless. Waves crash in slow rhythm outside the window, but Emma's heartbeat drowns them out. The sheets twist around her like questions she can't answer. David's breathing is steady beside her, the sound of safety, yet she can't find rest within it. Every time she closes her eyes, Mateo's voice echoes in the dark. I didn't walk away. I lost you. She turns, careful not to wake him. The moonlight cuts across his face, calm and untroubled. He doesn't know what's clawing at her chest. How could he? The man who hurt her heart has returned only to make her realize it still remembers the shape of the wound. When David stirs, she pretends to sleep. His arm brushes her waist, seeking her warmth, but she feels miles away, floating somewhere between past and promise. Morning arrives like a knock too early. Her mother's voice carries through the hallway, last-minute errands, makeup trials, flower confirmations. The inn becomes a hive of movement and laughter. But Emma moves through it like she's underwater, smiling where she's supposed to, nodding when spoken to. The world feels unreal, fragile, like glass that could splinter if she exhales too hard. Jess corners her near the breakfast table, holding 2 coffees and a knowing look. "You didn't sleep," she says. "Couldn't," Emma admits. "Still thinking about last night?" Emma freezes. "What do you mean?" Jess arches a brow. "Please. You shattered a glass, vanished into the dark, and came back pale as a ghost. Spill." Emma forces a laugh. "Just nerves." Jess studies her for a long moment, then sighs. "Nerves don't look like that, Em. You're shaking." "I'm fine," Emma lies, reaching for toast she won't eat. "It's the wedding. Everything's just a lot." Jess lets it go, for now. By noon, the inn smells of hairspray and peonies. Bridesmaids' laughter echoes through the hallways. David texts her a photo of the setup by the cliffs, white chairs, ribbons catching the wind, and adds, "It's perfect, just like you." Her phone buzzes again. Another message. No name. "Meet me. 1 hour. The old pier by the lighthouse." She stares at it, heart hammering. She doesn't have to wonder who it's from. The handwriting in her mind matches the tone exactly. She should delete it. She should tell David. She should do anything but what she's about to do. Still, she types back, "I can't." Then deletes it. Jess reappears, curling iron in hand. "You okay?" Emma nods too quickly. "Just need some air." Jess narrows her eyes. "You're not running, are you?" Emma meets her gaze, quiet but firm. "I just need to see something clearly before I say forever." Jess sighs, soft but loyal. "I'll cover for you. Go before I change my mind." Emma squeezes her friend's hand in silent thanks and slips out the side door. The sky is heavy with mist, gulls circling like questions. She walks toward the lighthouse, every step both dread and relief. The wind whips her hair, the sea roaring like it knows what she's doing. When she reaches the pier, a figure stands at the edge, waiting, shoulders bowed against the wind. "Mateo." He turns at the sound of her footsteps. "Emma," he says. She opens her mouth, but before she can speak, thunder rolls in the distance and a wave crashes violently against the rocks, salt spraying up, stinging her face. The world seems to hold its breath again. The beach is nearly empty, just wind, gulls, and the hush of waves folding against the shore. Emma walks down the sand, her shoes in hand, heart pounding. Mateo waits by a weathered lifeguard stand, his coat whipping in the sea breeze. When he turns, the look in his eyes isn't just longing, it's apology. "I didn't lie to you," he says before she can speak. "Everything I said back then was real." "Then why did you vanish?" Her voice cracks. "I waited. You promised." He nods slowly, guilt threading through every movement. "My mother collapsed that night. I flew out with only my passport and phone. Then it got stolen at the airport. All my contacts, gone. I tried everything, Emma." He reaches into his coat pocket and pulls out a bundle of worn letters, tied with string. "These came back unopened. Every single one." She takes them. The edges are frayed, the ink smudged by travel and time. Her own name on the envelopes hits like a ghost reaching from the past. "You really wrote these?" "Every month for a year," he says softly. Then emails. "Wrong address, maybe? I thought you wanted to forget me." Her throat tightens. "I never got them." He shows her an old email on his phone, sent to an address almost right, off by a single letter. E.Chen instead of E.Chen. So small, so cruel. "I thought you ghosted me," she whispers. "I thought you hated me," he says. Silence fills with everything they lost. They walk the shoreline, talking for hours. The conversation spills like tide water, about the years apart, about his mother's recovery, about the empty nights that followed. Each word peels away another layer of distance. The chemistry is still there, alive and dangerous. His laughter still does something to her chest that she doesn't want to name. "Do you remember the terrace by the sea?" he asks. You promised, if we ever got lost. I remember. Her voice is barely a breath. He steps closer, close enough that the scent of salt and citrus fills her lungs again. I came back for you. I always meant to. Please, Emma, don't marry him. Not if there's even a piece of you that still feels this. Her pulse pounds in her ears. You don't understand. David's good to me. His. Safe, Mateo says gently. But safe isn't the same as alive. The words slice clean through her defenses. For a heartbeat, she wants to believe him, to imagine rewinding time. But she can't. I can't just walk away. It's not that simple. It never is, he says. But maybe it's worth it. A gull shrieks overhead, the moment trembling between them. He reaches for her hand, she doesn't pull away. For one fragile second, the world tilts toward the impossible. Then, voices in the distance. Jess calling her name, breathless, urgent. Emma. You need to come, now. Emma turns, heart lurching. Jess is running down the sand, dress billowing, face pale. What happened? Emma asks. Jess swallows hard, catching her breath. It's David. He knows. The wind rips through the silence between them, carrying everything Emma never meant to confess. David stands on the cliff where the ceremony will take place, staring out at the gray-blue horizon. The chairs are lined in neat rows, the ribbons fluttering like nervous hearts. Everything is perfect, except her. He knows Emma's smile too well not to notice when it's forced. He's seen it all week, the small pauses, the way her laughter catches just before it reaches her eyes, the late nights when she says she's just thinking. He isn't a man easily rattled. He's spent his life building steady things, careers, friendships, a home that wouldn't fall apart when storms came. But this quiet distance between them feels like a storm he doesn't know how to stop. He sees her across the courtyard now, her hair caught in the wind, talking to Jess in hurried whispers. Jess looks nervous. Emma looks guilty. He turns away before she can notice him watching. He remembers the night they met. A rainy fundraiser in Boston. She was standing under an awning, heels in her hand, hair plastered to her face. He offered her his umbrella. She refused, laughing, saying, "You'll just get soaked too." "I'm okay with that," he'd said. And she'd looked at him, really looked, and smiled like maybe she hadn't expected kindness that night. From then on, he made it his quiet mission to give her peace. No grand gestures, no chaos, just presence. He thought she needed safety. He built his love like a home she could rest in. But now, watching her drift away inch by inch, he wonders if she's suffocating inside it. When Jess returns alone, David's pulse spikes. "Where's Emma?" Jess hesitates. "Out, walking. She needed air." He nods, pretending that answer doesn't tear through him. He's not angry, not yet. Just aware. He's seen the man from last night. The way Emma froze. The way she's been somewhere else ever since. He waits in the empty dining room, hands folded, watching the doorway. Time stretches. Every minute feels like a question he's afraid to ask. When Emma finally returns, her dress damp from sea spray, her hair tangled, his breath catches. She looks like she's been somewhere far away. "Did you see him?" David asks quietly. Her eyes widen. "Who?" "Don't," he says, shaking his head. "Please. I'm not blind." Tears glint at the corners of her eyes. "It's not what you think." "Then tell me what it is," he says, voice soft but steady. "I can take the truth. What I can't take is pretending." She looks down at her hands, trembling. For a moment, he thinks she might tell him everything. Then she says only, "I need time." He exhales, a long, tired sound. "You have until tomorrow morning," he says. "Before the wedding. Then we decide if forever still means the same thing." He leaves her there, alone in the silence, the door closing softly behind him. Outside, thunder murmurs over the sea, distant, but coming closer. The sky outside their suite is bruised with stormlight, the kind of gray that feels like a warning. The rehearsal dinner is over, the guests gone, laughter and clinking glasses replaced by the hum of the sea through half-open windows. Emma stands at the mirror, brushing her hair with slow, mechanical strokes. Her reflection looks calm, but her hands betray her, shaking, restless. David closes the door behind him. For a long moment, neither speaks. The air between them is thick with everything unsaid. Finally, he breaks the silence. "Who is Mateo?" The brush stops mid-stroke. Her eyes meet his in the mirror. The question lands like a thunderclap. "I saw you with him," he continues. "By the pier. Jess didn't have to tell me." She turns, voice trembling. "David, I was going to tell you." "Then tell me now," he says quietly. No anger, just exhaustion. "Please." Emma takes a step toward him, then another, as if crossing a distance that's more than physical. 5 years ago, in Barcelona, I met someone. Mateo. It was intense. We lost touch when he had to go home for a family emergency. I thought he'd left me. I spent months trying to move on, and when I finally did, her voice catches, you were the first person who made me feel safe again. He studies her face, searching for something he can still hold on to. And now he's back. Yes. Why? He said he never stopped looking for me. That he wrote, called, everything got lost. He thought I didn't want him. David's jaw tightens. And do you? She hesitates. I don't know. I thought I did once. But now? Now you're marrying me tomorrow, he finishes, his tone soft but weighted. Unless you're not. Tears spill before she can stop them. David, I love you. I do. You've been everything good in my life. He steps closer, voice breaking just enough to show the hurt. But I'm not sure you choose me, Emma. There's a difference. Her breath catches. That's not fair. It's honest, he says. You deserve to be certain. And I deserve someone who doesn't have to wonder if she's supposed to be somewhere else. She covers her face, sobbing quietly. He doesn't move to hold her this time. He just stands there, letting the silence speak what words can't. Finally, he says, I won't call it off. Not yet. But I won't marry a woman who's half here. You have until morning to decide what you really want. Emma lifts her head, eyes red, heart pounding. And if I can't? He looks at her for a long, aching moment. Then I'll walk away loving you, but free. He turns toward the door, pauses, and says without looking back, Don't choose me because I'm safe, Emma. Choose me because I'm yours. The door closes softly behind him. The sound feels louder than a storm. Emma stands in the middle of the room, dress hanging on the chair, vows on the table, the wind pushing at the window as if the night itself wants an answer. Dawn breaks in slow, trembling colors, a thin line of pink spilling over the gray horizon. The sea is calm now, as if it, too, is holding its breath. Emma walks barefoot along the wet sand, her dress hem brushing the tide, her heartbeat keeping pace with the waves. The cold air stings her skin, but she needs the sting. It keeps her awake. Behind her, the inn is just a blur of white wood and distant music, bridesmaids stirring, breakfast trays clinking, a world expecting a wedding. Ahead, the ocean stretches like an unanswered question. She closes her eyes and lets the past flood in. Barcelona, Mateo's laughter echoing across the rooftop, their hands sticky from shared oranges, his voice whispering promises against her ear. He had made her feel alive, wild, seen. But he also left, not by choice, but still, he left. And she had spent years trying to patch the silence he left behind. Then came David. The man who listened, who showed up, who built something steady from her ruins. He taught her that love didn't always burn. Sometimes it glowed, quietly, patiently, like a light that never went out. She kneels in the sand, fingers digging into the cold grains. Who am I if I choose safety, she whispers. Then softer, who am I if I don't? The tide creeps closer, washing over her feet. She watches it retreat and return, steady and faithful. Something inside her breaks, not in pain, but in recognition. Mateo had been the spark, the rush, the dream. But David had been the anchor, the one who stayed even when she drifted. Love, she realizes, isn't the fire that starts everything. It's the warmth that keeps you alive after it. Tears blur the horizon. I can't live in the past anymore, she says to the wind. It's beautiful, but it's over. A figure appears down the beach, Mateo, waiting where the rocks meet the surf. His coat flutters in the wind, his face open and searching. When she walks toward him, each step feels like goodbye. He smiles when he sees her, hopeful. You came. She nods. To say thank you. For finding me. For reminding me what it felt like to feel. His smile falters. But not to stay. She shakes her head, tears shining. You'll always be a part of who I was. But David is part of who I'm still becoming. He exhales, eyes glistening. Then I guess this is the real goodbye. She steps forward, presses a gentle kiss to his cheek. Goodbye, Mateo. The wind carries her words away, leaving only the sound of waves and the weight of choice. When she turns back toward the inn, the sun finally breaks through the clouds, soft gold spilling across the water, lighting her path. Behind her, Mateo watches until she disappears from view. In her room, the wedding dress waits by the window, glowing in the early light. Emma takes one last breath, and reaches for it. The morning air is soft, almost merciful. Mist rolls over the cliffs, blurring the horizon into something dreamlike. Emma walks through the quiet halls of the inn, the scent of salt and lilies trailing her steps. The wedding dress hangs from the wardrobe door, ivory, weightless, expectant. But before she steps into it, there's one thing left to do. She slips out unnoticed, heart thudding beneath the calm. The sun is rising as she reaches the small coastal hotel down the road. Mateo's car is already packed. He's sitting on the hood, looking out toward the sea. When he turns, the sadness in his eyes tells her he already knows. I came to say goodbye, she says softly. He smiles, not bitterly, but gently, like someone who's learned how to let go. You made your choice. She nods, tears catching in her throat. I did. You were the dream I once needed, but David is the life I've been building. You were fire, Mateo. His light. He looks down, hands clasped. Then that's the right choice. She steps closer. I used to think love was about who sets your heart racing. Now I think it's about who keeps it steady. A long silence hums between them, the ocean, the wind, the ghosts of everything that might have been. Then she reaches for his hand, presses something into his palm, the old photograph from Barcelona. Keep this, she whispers. So we'll never wonder anymore. His fingers tighten around it. For what it's worth, he says, he's a lucky man. She smiles through tears. I'm the lucky one. They hold each other for a breath, just one. When she steps back, she knows this time it's really the end. Mateo watches her walk away until she disappears over the rise, her dress coat fluttering in the wind like a white flag of peace. By noon, the guests are seated on the cliffside. The ocean shimmers, calm and infinite. David stands at the altar, his expression unreadable until he sees her, and then it softens, just a little. Emma takes her father's arm, the world quiet except for waves and wind. Every step feels like choosing. When she begins her vows, her voice trembles but doesn't break. Love isn't something that finds you, she says. It's something you choose, every day, even when it's hard, even when you're afraid. Today, I'm not promising perfection. I'm promising presence. I'm choosing you, David, not because I have to, but because I still do. David's eyes glisten. When he answers, it's barely a whisper, then so do I. Applause breaks through the hush, but Emma barely hears it. Somewhere far beyond the cliffs, a lone car drives away along the coastal road, Mateo's silhouette fading into the morning light. She feels a quiet ache, but no regret. Only peace. As the music swells, she closes her eyes, the salt air brushing her skin like a benediction.